'Cause I'm Mr. Brightside. Welcome, football fans, ladies, gentlemen, and jabronis. It's Mitch here, live for your recap, reaction, and analysis to NFL Week 9. All my thoughts on everything I saw this Sunday. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below or here live. That's why I'm here. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to spike the like button and don't be a jabroni. Subscribe, homie. Let's get to it. Let's break down all the games. Let's have some fun doing it. And where do we begin? We can't begin anywhere but in Buffalo. The Buffalo Bills beat the Kansas City Chiefs 28-21. And typically the interesting thing about this is a lot of people, including myself, rank the Kansas City Chiefs as the number one team in football entering this game, despite 3 losses. Okay? It kind of speaks to the overall landscape of the NFL right now. There isn't a truly elite team that can't lose, that can't get upset. There isn't one team above the rest that looks dominant. Okay? It's kind of like who's playing good at the moment. You know what I'm saying? So the interesting thing about this is that the Chiefs were the best team entering this weekend, according to many, including myself. After they lose this game, they're only 1 game above 500. The Chiefs are 5-4. This was a huge game for the Chiefs. In my opinion, a bigger game for the Chiefs than it was for the Bills, considering the Bills would have dropped to what? 5-3, I guess, if I'm correct on my math. But now the Chiefs are 5-4. And the other thing about this game is, this game, honestly, when you think about it, right? The Bills win this game, and what does it do narratively for the Bills? Like in any way, shape, or form? It doesn't do anything for the Bills. If we're really thinking about it, like last year's game was really fun, and last year's regular season game, it felt like a big moment, a big statement. Josh Allen's the MVP. It was a little bit deeper into the season, I think, too. But statement game. He's the MVP. He's going to win the award. They're going to go win the Super Bowl. It's going to be for home field. Ultimately, the Bills beat the Chiefs last year. And the Chiefs still had home field in the playoffs, which is the funny part. So it didn't matter. But also, now that the Bills have lost to the Chiefs 4 straight times in the playoffs, them winning any game against Kansas City that isn't in the playoffs literally doesn't matter. We've gotten to the point where I'm happy the Bills won. It's a great win. I thought Buffalo played awesome in this game in a variety of ways, and we're going to talk about it. But in terms of the standing between the Chiefs and the Bills, I regretfully inform you that the Bills, it really doesn't matter. I mean, it really doesn't, because until the Bills beat them in the playoffs, or at least go to the Super Bowl and win, does it matter that they beat the Chiefs? I mean, they beat them 5 years in a row now in the regular season. 5 years in a row, guys, which is incredible. That is incredible. To beat the team that has been most consistently the best franchise, the best team, the best coach, the best quarterback in the NFL most consistently over the last 5 years, to beat that team 5 years in a row is freaking incredible, right? 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025. Every single year beating them in the regular season, no matter your playoff record, that is sensational. So that's one thing I can say about the Bills. Because this game, everybody's been talking about how the Chiefs have the better offense, the Chiefs have the better defense, the Chiefs have the better coaching staff, The Chiefs look like a better team. They have a better offensive line this year. They've got more weapons this year. Blah, 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 right? Well, let's look into the quarterback statistics in this game, shall we? Patrick Mahomes threw 19 incompletions in this game and 15 completions. In other words, he was 15 for 34. When we look at the other side, the Bills, Josh Allen, the MVP, reigning MVP of the league, 23 for 26. That's only 3 incompletions. So, the supposed bare bones, ripped apart, terrible defense of the Buffalo Bills held the steaming hot, on fire Patrick Mahomes Chiefs offense to 0 passing touchdowns and an interception and 19 incompletions for, guys, guess what? A 57 passer rating. Mahomes was also sacked 3 times and pressured numerous occasions on big plays. Joey Bosa wrecked this game. If I were to give an MVP, forget Josh Allen, forget Patrick Mahomes, Joey Bosa and Cole Bishop, stand up. Take a round of applause. Take a bow. I mean, my goodness. Wow. The Bills, some of their defensive players today, the rookie first-round pick, Hairston, comes in with a clutch interception down the field. There's a lot to talk about in this game, guys, and I'm sorry if I take up a lot of time with this specific game, but it's like one of the games of the season. Everybody looks forward to Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes. Everybody looks forward to the Bills and the Chiefs. The Bills and Josh Allen are now 5-1 in the regular season against the Chiefs. That means that this series is 5-5. 4 games have gone to the Chiefs in the playoffs. We may or may not see this matchup in the playoffs because right now, both teams are actually wild card teams. So the likeliness of seeing this matchup in the playoffs is actually rather slim. They would have to meet in the AFC Championship. Unless the Bills come back and win the AFC East against New England, which it will be very close, and or the Chiefs come back and win their division, where the Broncos just had a huge win today over the Texans and only have 2 losses. The Chiefs are also 1-3 on the road, by the way. Just going to throw that out there. 1-3 on the road, and as currently constituted, they are a road team for the playoffs. Just going to throw that out there. They lost to Jacksonville. They lost to Buffalo, right? And they lost to, I guess they're considering the Charger-Brazil game as a road game. So that would be their 3rd away loss because I'm pretty sure they played the Eagles at home. So 1-3 on the road. But diving into the game, James Cook continues to be an absolute assassin. Top 5 running back this year. 27 carries, 114 yards, 4.2 yards per carry. Also getting it done with a clutch conversion on a clutch 3rd down late in the game to seal it. 1 catch for 11 yards. That was his only catch. I still think they need to throw him the ball more. Dalton Kincaid, unbelievable game. 6 catches, 101 yards, and a touchdown for the Bills. Shakir, 7 catches, 43 yards on 8 targets, a bunch of screens. Dawson Knox had a big release off of play action for a 30-yard catch. Elijah Moore stepped in for a 28-yard catch. Coleman got active early, but not late. And really, when we're looking at the Bills' game plan, it was exactly what I thought it would be. A lot of runs, a lot of quick screens to Shakir, and the occasional play action, throw to Dalton Kincaid, throw to Dawson Knox. That's basically what it was for the entire game. The Chiefs' defense actually struggled a lot more than I would have expected in this game. Seeing as how the Bills' offense has kind of struggled in a couple games this year against New England, I thought they struggled a bit. And against the Falcons, I thought they struggled a bit on offense. And they haven't been the juggernaut offense that we saw last year, in my opinion. But they really didn't struggle. I mean, when you look at it, James Cook had 114 rushing yards. Josh Allen had 3 incompletions. Dalton Kincaid had 100 yards. So really, in what area did the Bills struggle? They didn't struggle at all. And a lot of it came down to mostly really good pass protection. When they did give up their sacks, they were kind of extended plays, good coverage sacks by the Chiefs. Turnovers only came down to the 4th down early in the game, where the Bills really could have made a statement early in the game. They go for it on 4th and 2. They don't get it. I thought that call was a little bit I thought maybe they should have ran the ball there because they were running the ball so well early in the game. But they decided to throw it, and they didn't get it. But if you're looking at this game, I mean, the Bills, they deserve to win this game. 7 more first downs, 7 more plays ran, 100 more yards, 404 to 305. It was a relatively clean game. Mahomes played a lesser clean game than Allen. Like I said, a lot more inaccuracies by Mahomes, a lot more incompletions by Mahomes, the same amount of sacks, and an interception thrown by Mahomes. The penalties were relatively even, and none of them were too significant. Possession, the Bills had the ball more, 34 minutes to 25, and kind of came down to the Bills were able to run the ball. They were able to kind of play their game. They were able to control the game, control the clock, and that's kind of what I talked about. If the Bills are going to win this game, this is how they're going to win the game, and it kind of went exactly that way. They need to have long possessions, run the football. We know they're not a very explosive passing attack. And then the defensive line dominated, and this was kind of the X factor of the game. Could they take advantage of the Chiefs without their left tackle Simmons? Could they take advantage of Jawan Taylor? Joey Bosa showed up in a big way. He had a sack, 2 tackles for loss, and 5 quarterback hits. Christian Benford had a sack and a tackle for loss. Gregory Rousseau had half a sack and 4 quarterback hits. Cole Bishop had not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 passes defensed in this game and led the team in tackles with 7. Matt Milano and Bernard did pretty well in coverage over the middle. There was a couple of gaffes and a couple of big explosives the Chiefs were able to hit on a key 4th and 17 late in the game, on a couple long down and distance plays. But overall, I thought that the Bills defense actually surprised me with how well they covered. And I thought especially, their pressure was the key to the game. I thought that Mahomes was a little rattled and shaken in the pocket. And when he wasn't throwing screens, the Chiefs kind of struggled to throw the ball. They had a couple explosives, but it was few and far between. I mean, a 57 passer rating kind of speaks for itself. Rashee Rice had 4 catches for 80. Hollywood Brown had 2 for 73. The big one, though, is Worthy had 3 for 23. To hold Worthy to 3 for 23 is pretty impressive. Kelsey had 4 for 66, including a 2-point conversion later in the game. Thornton had nothing. Juju had 1 catch. I think a really good defensive game by the Bills at home. I thought the Bills crowd was excellent. They were loud. They were rowdy. The Chiefs, they ran the ball, I think, pretty well. And I think if they do play in the playoffs, they need to maybe look at that a little bit closer. Maybe try and control the possession a little bit more with their run game against the Bills, because the Bills struggled against the run. And Kareem Hunt seemingly got some really good carries in this game. He had 4.5 yards per carry. He had a touchdown, and he was running really well. I kind of do question whether or not they should have ran the ball more in this game, because as I said leading into this game, the Bills' defense is a good defense when you're one-dimensional. This is why they match up well with the Chiefs. Because if your offense isn't two-dimensional, meaning they can't run and throw, then the Bills can cheat on one aspect of your offense and take it away. And I thought McDermott had a really good plan. I thought the Bills executed great in terms of yards after catch and limiting yards after catch and actually forcing the Chiefs to throw the ball down the field and have Mahomes hold the ball. And the key of the game being 4-man rush, 4-man rush, 4-man rush, 4-man rush. Great job tackling, and then a great job of just playing zone, 4-man rush. They mix in the odd man coverage, but just doing well enough in making Mahomes hold the ball and actually have to participate throwing the ball down the field instead of just constantly throwing yak plays. So that was a big part of the game. And the Bills did better in that department in terms of drags across the middle, screens, runs, like getting more out of the playmakers in the offense rather than the quarterback having to make a ridiculous throw. But yeah, Josh had a very efficient game. This wasn't like a super heroic effort from Josh, in my opinion. Like, he had 3 total touchdowns here, 2 rushing and 1 throwing. But like, it was just very efficient. And even on the plays that could have been disasters, he mitigated it by like just taking a sack or like kind of trying to get back to the line of scrimmage or quickly realizing the play was dead. Sometimes when you play Spags and he has a free rusher running at you, you sometimes make a bad throw or try to throw an interception or force the ball. And Josh definitely didn't really give the Chiefs many chances to do that. So a more efficient game in that regard for sure from Buffalo. But really impressive performance. I thought they dictated the line of scrimmage, won the line of scrimmage. Their offensive line did well. Their defensive line did well. And I think at the end of the day, that's kind of why they won the game. Plus some high leverage moments before halftime. They were able to hold the Chiefs not to a touchdown, but to a field goal before the half. And then also they were able to make some 4th down stops, at least one. Yeah, they were able to make a 4th down stop as well in the game. So like both teams had 1 4th down stop, but 3 for 13 on 3rd down by the Chiefs is far below average. That is not typical for the Chiefs. So give the Bills a ton of credit for their pass rush, for their line of scrimmage play, and for their efficiency and for their game plan. I thought they knew how they needed to play, and they executed exactly how they needed to play. And from 1,000 feet, I kind of said this is exactly how they wanted to play, and they went out there and executed it. Whenever that happens, a team deserves credit. So 28-21, the Bills take it over the Chiefs. I needed to go in depth a little bit on that one, but that was a fun game. Now, at the same time, there was another game going on that I felt like was pretty crazy. The Las Vegas Raiders and the Jacksonville Jags had an absolutely wild game that ended in overtime, with the Raiders seemingly tying the game up in overtime, but going for 2 and not getting it, deciding to throw to Tyler Lockett instead of Brock Bowers, who had not 1, not 2, but 3 touchdowns in his return with the Raiders off the bye week. Brock Bowers completely dominated this game. And this was a weird game because the score at halftime was 6-3. And it ended up being 30-29 for the Jags, with 31 points being scored in the 4th quarter alone. So, pretty wild. This was maybe Geno Smith's best game as a Raider, though. He did have 29 for 39, 284, 4 touchdowns. He did throw 1 interception, a 117 passer rating. Great. It was a great play on the jump in the flat by the interception by the corner of the Jags. On the other side, Trevor Lawrence had a rushing touchdown, 2 rushing touchdowns actually, and 1 interception, no passing touchdowns, 220 yards. I thought he made some big throws in that overtime drive and in the 4th quarter drive. Trevor Lawrence, I've been heavily critical of him all year, and I don't think he's been great this season. And I don't think he's a great quarterback. But I will say, in a couple big games and big moments this year, 4th quarter, overtime, he's shined in those moments. Like against the Chiefs, he came through with that clutch drive. In this game, he came through with not 1, but 2 clutch drives. So you got to give him credit. That their kicker, Jacksonville's kicker, is insane. He hit a 68-yard field goal in this game. He hit 3 field goals in this game. Brock Bowers had 12 catches for 127 yards and 3 touchdowns on 13 targets. The next leading receiver for the Raiders had 5 for 47 and a touchdown, and it was their running back, Ashton Genty. Parker Washington, 8 catches for 90 yards on the other side, had a nice game. Travis Etienne caught 5 passes and also ran for 84 yards. Tootin vultured him at the goal line. Defensively, I felt like, Josh Hines-Allen had 1.5 sacks. Max Crosby had a sack and 3 tackles for loss. But the defenses were playing well early on, and then they just kind of collapsed in the second half. And the passing offenses of both teams were just kind of ripping each other apart. Like, it just felt like whenever they needed to play, they were just throwing seeds back and forth, Geno Smith and Trevor Lawrence. Both teams ended up with 26 first downs. And The Jags slightly outgained the Raiders. The Jags also 3 for 3 on 4th down, 9 for 16 on 3rd down, which is extremely impressive. The Raiders had more yards per play. Both teams had a number of penalties, as Jacksonville always does, 9 penalties and 80 yards on the day. But they did have 16 minutes more of possession, 42 minutes of possession. And Jacksonville, it felt like, had numerous opportunities to win this game, and they just kind of like let the Raiders kind of like stay around in the game. But yeah, like that's kind of crazy. But huge win for Jacksonville. 30 to 29. They're 5-3. Big note for the Raiders is at least Brock Bowers looks healthy. Brock Bowers is back. Their offense looked like it had a life. Chip Kelly's offense after the bye. So a little bit more excitement there for the Raiders. For Jacksonville, I don't know, man. Like, this is a big win for them. It keeps them in the playoff hunt, but their defense is not playing at the level it was early in the year with all the turnovers and stuff. And I don't know if I really buy them as a playoff team. I think they're kind of in the race, but I don't necessarily think I buy them. I think they're just kind of like slightly outside that playoff race. They're probably mixed up with the Chargers, like right there with the Chargers for maybe that 7 seed or something like that. But that's kind of how I feel. The Raiders, this loss for Jacksonville would have been pretty significant, I think, in that playoff race. So 30 to 29, really fun game. Just wanted to give it a shout because it was a fun game. Let's talk about a game that really shocked me. We do have some Steelers fans in the chat. So guys, if you haven't already, Gronk spike the like button. It does help more NFL fans like you and I find this video, find this channel. So make sure to like the video and share this with your friends. We've got the Steelers 27, Colts 20. Colts are now 7-2, 2-2 on the road. Both their losses come on the road. And the Steelers are 27-20, 5-3, 3-2 at home. And that keeps their lead over the Ravens, which is pretty significant in that division. This was a big game for the Steelers. If they would have dropped this game, the Ravens have that door open. The crack is there for them to squeak through. But for at least for now, the Steelers are still ahead. The story of this game, honestly, is turnovers. Like, there's no other story other than that. I mean, the Steelers defense certainly deserves a lot of love for what they were able to do against an offense like the Colts that had been on a historic pace and had been shredding opponent after opponent after opponent. But as I said leading into this game, it's a little bit of a check mark in terms of like, okay, where are the Colts at? Because if you look at the Colts season, they've lost to the Rams, a team with a winning record. They beat the Broncos in a game, like they beat the Broncos, right? They beat the Broncos in a game that, I mean, maybe they should have lost because of that call at the very end, like that kicking penalty or whatever the hell that was. But otherwise, they have played like the Raiders and the Dolphins and the Titans twice and a bunch of really bad teams, like a bunch of really bottom tier teams. So this was kind of like, okay, let's see what the Colts really have here. This is an opponent that is not very good. Like, the Steelers have not played well all year defensively. They've been terrible against the pass, terrible against the run. Their offense has been actually better than expected, but like, are they good enough to beat the Colts? So going into the game, it was kind of like, the Colts should win this game. They're the better team. They've played better all year, but like, they've kind of been beating up on bad teams. So that was kind of what the story was. But then you get to this game and it's like Daniel Jones was eventually going to have a Daniel Jones game, right? And that's kind of what happened. 3 interceptions, was sacked 5 times, had a 12 QBR, a 63 passer rating. If I'm not mistaken, at least one of the interceptions was made by the D-line, if not 2 by the defensive line of the Steelers. They also fumbled 3 times, including Daniel Jones twice. So Daniel Jones had 5 turnovers. 5. Okay? And Josh Downs had 1 fumble. So that's the story of the game, because when you really look at it, the Steelers had 9 less first downs. They had 140 less yards. It does help that the fact that they were ahead in the game. So they weren't super aggressive in putting up yardage. But at the same time, like, the turnovers, you put up 6 turnovers in a game, kind of like the Patriots did against the Steelers. The Patriots was probably even worse because the Patriots at least were in the red zone, like going in to score points, and they turned it over. The Colts, it was more like they were giving the Steelers points, like short fields, just disastrous plays. And that was kind of the reverse of that. But like the Steelers offense averaged 3.7 yards per play. They had 225 total yards, right? Like 27 points with 225 yards is not exactly, doesn't equate, right? But Aaron Rodgers played a clean game. He had 200 yards and a touchdown. DK Metcalf did like nothing in this game. He had 2 catches for 6 yards. Calvin Austin had some nice moments. Darnell Washington had some nice moments on third down and to kind of get drives started. Jaylen Warren did next to nothing on the ground. 16 carries, 31 yards, 1.9 yards per carry. So like the Steelers kind of just like didn't really participate on offense that much. They had some quick passing game going at times with Darnell Washington and Calvin Austin. Like I mentioned, Pat Freiermuth scored a touchdown, but like their offense really wasn't humming. It was more about the field positions they were able to get. Like if I were to look at the box score, the Colts led the game 7-0 early on. They had a 13-play, 79-yard drive for a touchdown. Then the Colts had a 14-play, 51-yard drive where they fumbled. So that's pretty significant. The Steelers had a 12-play, 56-yard drive, and then they scored a touchdown. And then one of the touchdowns for the Steelers was a 2-play, 14-yard drive off of an interception, 14-7 Steelers. Then a 12-play, 75-yard drive for a field goal by the Steelers, 17-7. Then another interception turns into another touchdown for the Steelers, but that was a 56-yard drive, so give them credit for that. And then a field goal on a 6-play, 6-yard drive, so at least 10 points on short drives, 17 legitimate kind of points, and then, just looking at the box score, looking at that, but like, yeah, I mean, you can't win a game with 6 turnovers. And the Colts, it just felt like Daniel Jones was getting pressured. The Steelers held Jonathan Taylor in check. That was a big part of this. 45 yards, 3.2 yards per carry. And the Colts really, whenever they would move the ball, they would cough it up. And I kind of feel like early in the game, that's the story. They score a touchdown, then they're about to go down and score more points, and then they fumble. So the Steelers were able to get that lead, tee off in the pass rush. And I think the surprising part is the Colts were, offensive line-wise, a little bit more overwhelmed than most weeks we've seen because the Colts offensive line's been really good this year. And the Steelers pass rush has not lived up to expectations this year, but they came through in this game. And they really disrupted a lot of stuff. As we have Steelers fans in the chat pointing out, yes, I did notice Peyton Wilson had a breakout game. 14 tackles, 2 passes defensed. I'm pretty sure he caused a fumble, if I'm not mistaken. Joey Porter also had a sack and 4 passes defensed in this game. So shout out to him. Alex Highsmith had 2 sacks. TJ Watt had a sack and a tackle for loss and a quarterback hit. Latu on the other side had 2.5 sacks for the Colts. But story of the game being neither team could run the ball. One quarterback in Aaron Rodgers was getting the ball out quick, moving the chains, protecting the football, not making any jeopardizing mistakes or really egregious mistakes. And on the other side, Daniel Jones was coughing the ball up, throwing bad interceptions, getting the ball tipped at the line, feeling overwhelmed, people around him suffocating pockets and just looking like Daniel Jones with the Giants. And that's going to be the story for Daniel Jones moving forward. It's going to be a lot like Sam Darnold last year. Can you get people around him? Can you make him uncomfortable? Can you take away his first read? Can you strip away the offense, that scheme? Can you kind of take the run game away? Force Daniel Jones to be that drop back passer and beat you that way. And that's what the Steelers did. And all of a sudden, it became a turnover fest. So congrats for the Steelers. It feels like they don't beat good teams unless they get 5 or 6 turnovers, though. So that's not really sustainable. But it's a good win. And it's a step in the right direction for the defense. Because the Steelers' offense all year has been solid. It's been good enough. Their defense needs to play closer to this level week in and week out for them to be a legitimate team. Because that's the way they're built. I've been criticizing them all year. They're not built to win shootouts. They're built to win defensive slugfests. And they're not going to get 6 turnovers a week, but they need to play better run defense like they did today. They need to have more pressure like they did today. So that's the main story of the game. Turnovers and the Steelers' defense coming to life. Some results from other games. One of the wildest finishes you'll ever see in a 47-42 game. The Chicago Bears and the Cincinnati Bengals. Guys, leave your comments on some of the games you watched today and anything you want to see me talk about. So, the Bengals with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Bengals miss a field goal, okay? So, they go on a 13-play, 38-yard drive. They miss a field goal with 6 minutes left in the game, down by 7. Okay? The Bears then get the ball, and they score a touchdown in a minute. So 41-27. They score a touchdown in a minute. DJ Moore scores a touchdown. That puts the Bears up 41-27. That's a 14-point lead. Okay? From there, the Bengals then throw an interception. But then, I don't know. This is wild. Okay, so Joe Flacco throws an interception. There was a penalty for pass interference on the Bears. So the Bengals got the ball back. Then Joe Flacco threw another interception, which was returned for a touchdown, but then it was reversed. So Tremaine Edmonds gets the interception at the 4-yard line of Chicago. Then the Bears punt the ball. They try to take time off the clock from their own 4-yard line. The Bengals stop them. They punt the ball. The Bengals then score a touchdown on a 4-play, 55-yard drive to Noah Fant, a 23-yard touchdown to Noah Fant. And then the Bengals get a onside kick with 49 seconds left. Or how many seconds left? 143, so like 140 left. And they score a touchdown with 49 seconds left, which puts the Bengals up 42-41. A touchdown from Flacco to Yosivas in like a post route across the end zone. And the Bengals go up 42-41. With 49 seconds left, the Bears get the ball. And I don't think they had any timeouts. The first 2 plays are incomplete from Caleb Williams. Cincinnati's going crazy. Cincinnati's going wild. Everybody's losing their minds. Cincinnati can't believe that they've come back. They got an onside kick. They scored a couple touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Caleb Williams just throws the ball right down the seam, and Colston Loveland runs past everybody, breaking a tackle and scoring a touchdown. They go for 2. They don't get it. And then the Bengals don't have enough time left. They throw an interception and lose the game. So Chicago wins 47-42. In a game where Chicago definitely should have won the game, Chicago's defense gave up a 2-touchdown lead with the Bengals scoring a touchdown after Joe Flacco on the previous drive threw a pick at the 5-yard line. Bengals scored a touchdown. They got the onside kick, scored another touchdown. Then the Bears get the ball. The Bears score a touchdown on like 2 plays. The Bengals have the worst defense. Like, I have never seen a defense in a 2-year span that is this bad in my entire life. Like, this is the worst defense in a 2-year span that I've ever seen. Typically, when a defense is this bad for one season, they get a little bit better the year after. Like, it's literally impossible. They get more sacks, they get more turnovers, they get more 4th down stops, they get more red zone stops, more missed field goals, like even just luck, right? Like luck. I'm talking about luck here, right? I'm not talking about practice, I'm talking about luck. This is a defense that allowed 47 points to a Bears offense that is, it's okay. It's middling. They allowed 47 points, a touchdown in basically 10 seconds, 30 first downs, 576 yards, a trick play touchdown. They allowed a 7th round, I think 7th or 6th round pick running back to run for 176 yards. They allowed Caleb Williams to throw 280 and 3 touchdowns. They allowed DJ Moore to throw a touchdown. They allowed Colston Loveland, who hasn't done anything all year, 118 and 2 touchdowns and 1 touchdown right down the seam. Do you know how bad you have to be to give up a game-leading touchdown right down the seam? Right down the middle of the field. And then both of the guys that are trying to tackle him miss and run for a touchdown? You know how bad you have to be? And I don't blame Chase Brown. I don't blame Jamar Chase for calling out their defense. At a certain point, you got to keep guys accountable. You can't just lose Trey Hendrickson and all of a sudden you're an absolute piece of donkey crap defense. Like, this guy, this 40-year-old injured quarterback, Joe Flacco, had 470 fucking yards. 470 yards and 4 touchdowns. And they still lost. Joe Flacco, who practiced 1 time this week because he's injured and he's 40 years old, threw for 470 yards and 4 touchdowns, and you lost. Like, oh my God. How bad are you? How bad? T. Higgins and Jamar Chase had 121 and 111 yards. T. Higgins had one of the greatest catches I've ever seen for a touchdown. 2 touchdowns. They came back from a 2-touchdown deficit to take the lead, and you still lost. And all these Bears fans in my chat, the Bears are back. No, the Bears are not back. They played the Bengals defense. Guys, the Bears are not back because they played well against the Cowboys defense and the Bengals defense. And the Bears can't get a stop. The Bears defense sucks too. This is just a game between 2 bad teams. The Bears happen to be 5-3. Like, congratulations. I'm sorry, guys. Like, this is not a good team. Like, sure, they're more fun to watch. They did some good things on offense today. But, like, legitimately, you can't even take this game against the Bengals seriously because the Bengals defense is just an absolute joke. Like, you cannot actually, like, honestly, you can't even take the Bengals game as an actual stats. Like, they should just take the stats out of every opponent that plays the Bengals. Like, it shouldn't even count. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. 47-42 Bears. Unbelievable. I can't believe it. We don't have too much time until Sunday night, but I got to talk about a few more things. We're probably going to go over. I'm going to skip Rams and Saints. I mean, 34-10. Rams kicked the living shit out of the Saints. Kind of expected. I mean, the Rams, you could make an argument, are the best team in the league. I mean, after this week, you can make that argument. They had 30 first downs to 10, 430 yards to 224, Stafford continues to play like an MVP. 4 touchdowns, no picks, 140 passer rating. They ran for 100 yards. They threw for 280. I mean, this team, this offense, this team, the Rams look great. I mean, nearly 300 yards passing, nearly 200 yards rushing. Puka Nacua scored a touchdown. Adams scored 2 touchdowns. Their defense dominated. Tyler Shuck. The Saints couldn't run the ball. Like, complete domination. So, 34-10, Rams kicked the crap out of the Saints. They might be the best team in the league in people's power rankings. The Lions and the Packers both lost. Both of them. So the Vikings are now 4-4, and the Lions are 5-3. The Lions are 5-3. Interesting. There was a lot to learn about this game. So first of all, J.J. McCarthy statistically didn't have a great day. He was sacked 5 times. He had an 82 passer rating, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, a 143. I don't remember his interception, actually. I don't remember that. But the 2 touchdowns, one was a nice rollout play action to T.J. Hawkinson across the middle in the back of the end zone. Another was a fade ball to Justin Jefferson one-on-one. I thought Aaron Jones had a strong game, 78 yards rushing, 9 carries. He also caught 2 passes for 20 yards. He looked good. He looked like himself. I thought the story of this game was the Vikings completely outcoached the Lions in a number of ways. The Brian Flores just blitzed on every play of the game. Like, it felt like he blitzed on every single play of the game against Jared Goff, and Jared Goff got sacked 5 times. Eric Wilson of the Vikings was just running through whoever was blocking him. Like, Wilson was just steamrolling the running back and sacking Jared Goff. He had 2 sacks. Hargrave had 1. Redmond had 1. Some guy named Rodriguez had 1. Blake Cashman had an amazing game. He punched the ball out of David Montgomery's hands for a big fumble and turning point in this game. And yeah, Goff looked shook in the pocket. His stats are misleading. 284, 2 touchdowns, 108 rating. I didn't think he played very well. I thought the Vikings did a good job of fogging up the middle of the field. Their interior offensive line continues to get exposed, in my opinion, by these teams that like to blitz, like Minnesota and the Chiefs. That's multiple, and the Bucks, right? Every time the Lions have struggled this year, they've struggled because they can't pick up blitzes right down the middle. These teams just keep blitzing them right up the A and B gaps, and Jared Goff is struggling to deal with that pressure in his lap, and the Lions can't pick it up. Their interior offensive line is getting exposed. Number one thing, you've got to stop the run against the Lions. The Vikings did that. For some reason, Jahmyr Gibbs only touched the ball 12 times, only 9 carries. That's inexcusable. David Montgomery had 11. Inexcusable. He's the guy that fumbled. So the Lions need to check themselves. I don't know why Jahmyr Gibbs is getting the ball 9 times. That is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, like Sam Laporta had a nice game. Amon-Ra had like his typical 9 for 97. Jamison Williams had 66. He had a nice touchdown near the end of the game. But like, I thought that the Vikings, again, the Vikings, the Chiefs, and the Bucks have exposed the Lions for the consistently offensively. And then defensively, I thought that the Lions struggled. They struggled with some big gashing runs by Aaron Jones. I thought every time J.J. McCarthy had to make a big throw, he did. Like I know that he only had 143 yards, but every single high leverage down, it felt like J.J. McCarthy delivered. And I got to give J.J. a lot of credit. I haven't been his biggest fan, but I thought that 20 first downs, they out first down them. And they came through in some big moments. And it felt like the Lions, especially early in the game, they couldn't cover Addison. They couldn't cover Jefferson when they really needed to. And then again, turnovers. Like, turnovers are big in the game. And yeah, I just, the Lions offense, they got out coached. They got out coached by Flores. They got out coached by O'Connell. For a rookie quarterback, basically, with 3 starts to come into your building after a bye week and beat you is kind of embarrassing. And to be leading by 10 in the 4th quarter, that's embarrassing. That's not a good loss. I know it's a divisional opponent, but that's not a good loss at all. Like, that is a bad loss. And then speaking of bad losses, Carolina beating the Packers 16-13. Give the Panthers credit. Hey, Panthers and Vikings sticking around, right? The Vikings are 4-3. Panthers are 5-4. This Panthers team, after they just got shellacked by Buffalo at home, they respond. Give Canales a lot of credit for that, and Bryce Young. But Packers lose this game after the great game against the Steelers, and they score 13 points against the Panthers. And for some reason, they're trying to run the ball early into a brick wall. They don't just throw the football. But there's a lot of concerning elements here for the Packers from this game. They lose Tucker Kraft. That could be a serious injury. He was their number one weapon all year in the passing game. That is significant, right? Luke Musgrave's got to step up at tight end. And they also lose Golden, I believe. I'm not sure if that's a long-term injury, but that's also pretty significant. And they couldn't stop the run in this game. Rico Dowdle overpowered them. 130 on the ground, 5.2 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. Rico Dowdle, man, 1 year, $1 million contract from the Dallas Cowboys, has been one of the most valuable running backs in the NFL. Every time the Panthers win, they win by running the football. They win by being more physical, and they did that to the Packers in this game. Ran the damn ball right down the Packers' throat and kept that pass rush at bay and off balance. Bryce Young delivered with a couple of scrambles, delivered with a couple of throws for first downs to McMillan, 4 for 46. But really, the receiving weapons of the Panthers did nothing, really. I mean, nothing, really. Bryce Young, 102 yards. But he didn't have an egregiously bad game. For the Packers, Jordan Love had a tough game. He threw a pick, and he should have thrown a second pick on a 4th down where he was running around in circles and just chucked it to the end zone. The guy dropped it in the end zone. He should have thrown 2 picks. He had an 80 passer rating. He was only sacked once, but he was a little inaccurate, a little antsy. The Panthers got a lot of pressure on him. Derek Brown and the guys up front, they only had 1 sack, which it's hard to sack Jordan Love, but it felt like, there was pressure on him. Wharton, I thought, had a good game. Derek Brown, Ashawn Robinson, those guys up front were getting around him. And Roseboom, 15 tackles, give him some credit. Romeo Doubs continues to do some good things, 7 for 91 on 10 targets. Christian Watson had a bomb down the field, but their passing game was just out of sync. And again, I continue to criticize the Packers. It's run game, bomb. Run game, bomb. We need a little bit more of this consistency. You should be targeting these linebackers. You should be targeting these safeties all game long. And you should not be trying to run the ball against the Panthers at a brick wall all game long. It's not really going to work for you. But again, the Packers, they disappointed. And another thing I have to say about the Packers, I thought that Matt LaFleur, he kind of choked here. He trusted his offense to come through on a 4th down, maybe just kick the field goal. Kick the field goal. I think it was relatively early in the game. They go for it when you really didn't need to. Kick the field goal. I don't know. You end up losing 16-13. Realize what kind of game it is. You know what I'm saying? Kick a field goal every once in a while. It's not so bad to kick a field goal. But yeah, this is a game the Packers could have won. They just didn't. They had more first downs. They had 100 more yards. They had chances at the end, but they didn't come through in the high leverage moments. McManus missed a field goal, if not 2. I want to say he missed at least 1, and it wasn't even close. I remember it went straight to the left. It wasn't even close. McManus stinks. So that's another thing the Packers have to be concerned about. Their kicker. He missed 1. But then the Panthers did miss an extra point. That's another thing. The Panthers did miss an extra point. What else do I want to talk about here? But I had to talk about those games. Sunday Night Football is about to get underway, but I'm going to keep on going, guys. So if you want to stick around, stick around. The Denver Broncos beat the Texans 18-15. We'll go to that one. So the Broncos end up winning. This was a tough loss for Houston. They allow 11 points in the 4th quarter, and they give up the lead. But a lot of it has to do with the fact they lost C.J. Stroud early in the game, and C.J. was looking good once again. He was following up the 49ers game by really looking pretty good, in my opinion, dancing around, buying time, being accurate, being precise. I thought he played really well against the Niners, and I thought that was looking good early. Like, he was 6 for 10, 79 yards against a good defense, and he gets hurt, he gets a concussion, pretty bad concussion, looked pretty severe. Hopefully he's all right, but it's hard to win a game with your backup quarterback against a great defense, and you're not preparing that guy to play that defense that day, and you can't run the ball, right? And a lot of Houston's success against the Niners was built on their short passing game, the short, precise passing game. And you're asking Davis Mills to go out there and perform that, and it's just difficult, right? So he ends up with only 137 yards and no touchdowns for Davis Mills. And the Texans can't run the ball, 2.8 yards per carry. Woody Marks, 27 yards. Chubb, 34 yards. Bo Nix puts up 11 in the fourth, where the Broncos have been great in the fourth quarter this year. They've been a really good fourth quarter team. Nix, though, he struggled for most of the game. 18 for 37, 173, 4.7 yards per completion, or attempt, I should say. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 53 QBR. Not a very good game from Bo Nix. He missed 3 or 4 bombs down the field. J.K. Dobbins did have an okay game. Had a couple nice runs. 15 for 61. Bo Nix had a couple of big runs as well in key moments in the fourth quarter. A scramble to set up the game-winning field goal down the left sideline. R.J. Harvey had a game-leading touchdown, or a game-tying touchdown. Game-tying touchdown, I think. 5 for 51 for a touchdown. Sutton had a nice 30-yard touchdown, but that was his only catch on 6 targets. But the Texans' defense is awesome. They're the best defense in the league, as I continue to say. And they held Denver to 15 first downs, But it's just crazy how the Texans the way they play. They punt when you should probably go for it. They kick field goals when they're at the 2-yard line. You should probably go for that. They just put so much pressure on their defense. You got to make some high leverage plays every once in a while offensively. And they just put so much pressure on their defense. The Broncos had 3 opportunities at the end of the game to take the game-winning field goal, basically. All you need is a field goal. So in the fourth quarter, I'm going to look this up. So this was the fourth quarter. Touchdown by the Broncos. The Texans punted 4 times in the fourth quarter. 4 times. The game was tied 15-15. They punted 4 times with a chance to take the lead with just a field goal. They punted 4 times. They gave the Broncos 4 chances to win this game. 4. So, you're not going to win a game with your backup quarterback where you punt the ball 4 times. You know what I'm saying? The Broncos had 4 chances, and eventually they were able to get 48 yards and kick a field goal to win the game. Eventually the other team's going to get some points. You know what I'm saying? But the key to the game as well was red zone. The Texans ended up being 0 for 3 in the red zone. That's also critical. 0 for 3 in the red zone. Early in the game, too, they were in the red zone constantly, and they just couldn't get a touchdown. So, that's another thing where, the Texans probably were the better team here, but they had their backup quarterback. So, good win for the Broncos. I think it was kind of a suspect win, in my opinion. Probably not deserved, but they got a break where CJ goes down and Denver's able to capitalize on it and win the game. But, they win 18-15 in a game that many people expected to be under 20 for both teams. The Chargers survived the Titans 27-20. I don't really have much to say about this game. Basically, the Chargers should have won by way more than they did. The Titans only had 10 first downs and 200 yards, but the Titans had a kick return for a touchdown and a punt return, technically. And then they also had an interception for a touchdown. Otherwise, and then the big injury is Joe Alt got carted off. Again, that's going to take the Chargers right out of contention. The last time they didn't have Joe Alt, they looked miserable. And without Joe Alt, this isn't a good football team. So that's something to pay attention to. But Herbert had a kind of a heroic effort in this one. He led the team in rushing and also scored a touchdown to take the lead late in the game. And he had 2 nice touchdowns in the game. One of them was a beautiful pass to Quentin Johnston in the back of the end zone. But I thought Herbert had a really good game. Gadsden, again, led the team in receiving, 68 yards, continuing to shine as a rookie at tight end. Ladd McConkey, 56 yards. Quentin Johnston, 53 yards and a touchdown. Cam Ward struggled. He took 4 sacks, only 12 completions. Tony Pollard, I hope he gets traded. Not much to say there. The Titans defense had a ton of sacks once again. You know, Chargers, Herbert took 6 sacks, a lot of them late in this game when Joe Alt went out. It's hugely concerning. If you're a Chargers fan, you're 6-3, you're 3-1 on the road. You're going to have to do that in the playoffs. The Titans are the worst team in football. You only beat them by a touchdown. That being said, it should have been like a 17-point win based on the stats. It's a pick 6 for a touchdown early that you're down 7-0 and a punt return for a touchdown. That makes this game interesting. Your defense actually really dominated this game, but it's really concerning without Joe Alt against good teams. The Titans are not a good team. So that's all I really have to say about that game. Anything else? I mean, Patriots, we haven't talked about. I'm going to leave that to the very, very end here. I think the only game I haven't talked about is the Niners game. Is that right? Other than the Patriots? Let's see. I talked about everything else, and if you guys didn't hear me talk about it, then just scroll back. Yeah, so the 49ers game, and then we'll talk about the Patriots, and we'll be out of here. Look like first drive of the game, the Seahawks got a stop and forced a punt, so I like the under in that game. Hopefully it goes under. Patriots 24, Falcons 23. We'll talk about that after the 49ers 34-24. Guys, if you haven't already, Gronk spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. 34-24. The 49ers are now 6-3. The most injured team in football. The coach of the year, Kyle Shanahan, does it again. His offense puts up 34 points. Mac Jones throws 5 incompletions. At one point, Mac Jones was 12 for 12 in this game. Mac Jones had a really, really solid game here. 19 for 24, 235, 2 touchdowns. Only took 2 sacks, a 135 passer rating. Kyle Shanahan does it again. Christian McCaffrey, 28 carries, 106 yards, and a touchdown on the ground. Through the air, 5 catches, 67 yards, and a touchdown. So for McCaffrey, that's 173 total yards and 2 touchdowns with 33 touches. Pretty ridiculous for Christian McCaffrey. Brian Robinson also ran really well. 5 carries, 53 yards, and a touchdown as well. He ran over a Giants defender for a touchdown in this game. Juwan Jennings also got into the end zone, looking a little bit fresher, looking better than he did early in the year. 4 catches on 5 targets for a touchdown, 41 yards. Kendrick Bourne had a couple third down conversions. George Kittle had 4 for 32, kind of quiet. But yeah, Mac, very efficient. Mac on the money, making his throws, making his plays, and they had really good balance in this game. They ran all over the Giants, giving up explosives. The Giants' run defense is atrocious, so I'm not sure how much this will follow through for the 49ers. But yeah, they dictated this game. They won this game from the very jump. They had 25 first downs. They had 380 yards. They had 5.8 yards per play, and there was not a lot of penalties in this game. They also had 33 minutes of possession compared to the Giants' 26. The game was really 34-17, and the Giants scored a late touchdown. Another injury, though, for the 49ers. Michael Williams, probably out for the year. Their first-round pick defensive end. So they have lost Nick Bosa. Bryce Huff should be back next week against the Rams, but Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Michael Williams. So their 2 best defenders and their first-round pick on defense out for the season, most likely. 49ers also expected to get Ricky Pearsall, Brock Purdy, Brandon Ayuk back in the coming weeks. But yeah, I mean, this team is cursed. What else are you going to talk about there? But they're 6-3. They win another game. For the 49ers defense, thought Upton Stout had a strong game. And their secondary, I thought, did a good job. Renardo Green made some nice pass breakups. And Sam Aquanu had a sack. Clelin Ferrell looked good in his first game with the 49ers. I thought Keon White, he played a little bit. He had a good game whenever he was in there. Bethune had 16 tackles in the game statistically. But I thought the defensive line had more life in this game. And I thought the secondary did a good job of making Jackson Dart hold the ball. Jackson Dart was holding the ball a long time in this game. So in terms of Jackson Dart, he had 191 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 107 rating. It just feels like he needs to play more on schedule, more on time. He needs to play with more just tempo, just get the ball out, get on schedule. I don't know if this is the offense. I don't know if this is the receivers. I don't know if that was the Niners defense, but it just feels like every time I watch Jackson Dart, every play is a backyard play. He just needs a little bit more consistency to his game, in my opinion. But I do think he's a great athlete. He makes a lot of big plays in terms of just moving around and making plays. Again, running the ball, he had 56 yards and a touchdown. And throwing the ball, he had 2 touchdowns, 191 yards. And it wasn't really his fault they lost. It just feels like the offense just has very little rhythm to it, is kind of what I'm saying. So that's something I'd like to see improve. Wan'Dale Robinson, 9 catches, 46 yards. Darius Slayton, 5 catches, 62 yards. But for the most part, Niners defense did a solid job on the Giants. But, they forced a number of 3-and-outs. They controlled the game, that sort of thing. Niners deserved to win. Niners were the better team. 24-23 for the Patriots. We're going to finish it here, guys, for this Sunday recap. At what time on Bleacher Report on Tuesday? Ask Gerard. It's going to be 1 p.m. Eastern Time, Bleacher Report YouTube channel. I'll be live as a part of their trade deadline coverage, guys. Don't forget it. I'll also be releasing a trade deadline predictions probably tomorrow, okay? So make sure to check that out. Okay, so to finish off with the Patriots over the Falcons, 24-23. Patriots are 7-2, tied for the best record in the AFC, and if I'm not mistaken, the NFL, right? The Atlanta Falcons are 3-5, and they fall in this game. As a Patriots fan, I'm a little disappointed by the finish in this game. The Patriots definitely deserve to win this game, but they allowed the Falcons to hang around far too long, and they made too many critical mistakes that allowed a potential chance to lose this game. So the Falcons put up 9 points, and the Patriots put up 0 in the fourth quarter, and that's what made this game really close. The Falcons also missed a game-tying extra point, which would have made it a 24-24 game. Now, I have no doubt in my mind that Drake Maye would have been able to go down the field and get a field goal to win the game, but I still feel like that was far too close, right? And I'll also say this about the game. The Falcons had a number of ridiculous individual effort plays from their defense and their offense, but specifically their offense. Almost all of the Falcons' offense in this game was Drake London going fucking nuts or Bijan Robinson making just a stupid play. So, either Bijan or Drake London doing something just otherworldly that a lot of NFL players can't do. Drake London had the game of his life with 3 touchdowns and 118 yards on 14 targets. The last touchdown was insane. He's somehow, it was 4th down. I want to say it was 4th down. It might have been 3rd down, but I'm pretty sure it was 4th down. One-handed catch on the right sideline of the end zone, which, I don't know. A guy just can't make that catch it's just insane. He made another catch later in the game, I think on the same drive, if I'm not mistaken, where he jumped up and mossed. I mean, it should have been a pick by Gonzalez, and he basically took the ball from Gonzalez's hands and snatched a bomb, and Penix was missing, Bijan Robinson on, 3rd and 6 is smothered by Marcus Jones. Penix throws the ball high, and a running back puts his hand up, catches it with one hand, and brings it in. Some of these plays are just insane by the Falcons that they were making. the button, I guess. I don't know how long I was out there for, but I don't know why that happens. I don't even really touch it. But basically all I said was that the Patriots defense I thought was actually really good until the last drive of the game where Gonzalez goes out. And honestly, all it really was Drake London just making insane catches and Bijan Robinson just making insane catches. But the offense had numerous chances to close this game. And of course, one of the Falcons' touchdowns came on the Drake Maye fumble, which basically made the game a game. Because the Patriots, I believe it was 17-7, if I'm not mistaken. It was 17-7 or 21. It was 21-7 Patriots. And the Patriots had the ball with 54 seconds left in the half at the 50-yard line. So it was 21-7 for the Patriots. They had 32 seconds left with a chance to get a field goal and make it 24-7 at half. Game's over, basically, right? Drake Maye they get a looping blitzer. Jalen Walker comes in free. Maye's kind of loose with the football. He punches the ball out. James Pierce corrals it, runs for 30 yards, and sets up the Falcons for a touchdown before half, which makes the game a touchdown game at halftime, 21-14. Then later in the game, New England's up by 10, right? They get a field goal right after the half. They have a great drive, an 8-minute drive, an 8.5-minute drive. They're up by 10. Then they force a 3-and-out from the Falcons. It's like, oh, here we go again. Patriots are back in control. They're dominating the game. And then Maye and Hunter Henry, I believe it was, miscommunicate on an interception that sets the Falcons up for a field goal to once again make it a one-score game. So 2 critical errors by the Patriots gave the Falcons chances to get in this game. And that's basically the way the game went. The Patriots were in full control of the game. And if not for 2 turnovers where the Patriots were kind of trying to let the Falcons back in the game, seemingly, this game should have been a blowout. Like, that's really how it felt. But the Patriots, 23 first downs to 17. They were 8 for 12 on third down. One of the critical things about the Patriots that they need to get better at, they take way too many sacks. Drake Maye takes too many sacks, and we take too many negative plays. Like 6 sacks again this week. I think we gave up 6 sacks last week, or 5 sacks by Myles Garrett or whatever. Like, that's too many negative plays to have to overcome on third down. So that's something that has to get better. But we dominated this game on third down. We were 8 for 12. They were 1 for 10. For them to score 23 points being 1 for 10 on third down is miraculous. We had 68 plays. They had 54-14 would have been crazy. We had more yards by about 50. They didn't even have 300 total yards. The penalties, there was like no penalties in this game. The Patriots were 3 for 4 in the red zone, which, that's pretty good. But the Falcons were 3 for 3. So that they executed when they got there. We had 9 more minutes of possession. So again, more possession, more yards, more first downs, better on third down. More often than not, you win that game by 10 points, 14 points, 17 points. The Patriots easily could have won this game by more. But at the end of the day, it should have been a tie game going into the last drive where Drake Maye would have had to make a field goal game. So it's a young team. At least we found a way to win this game. And usually when you find a way to win, it's because you should have lost and you found a way to win. No, we found a way to win when we were trying to lose. So that's a step in the right direction, right? That's a step in the right direction. I will say that. But for people to be saying and criticizing Drake for his performance today, I actually thought he played really, really well. The fumble was bad. I don't really put the interception on Drake all that much. The fumble was bad in a bad spot, but he threw the most yards anyone's thrown against the Falcons all year. They have the number 1 passing yard defense in the NFL. And I thought he made a number of tight window throws in this game. Some of the best throws I've seen. Like some of the throws on third down to Hunter Henry, the downfield shots to Demario Douglas, who shout out to Demario Douglas. I didn't even know this, but his uncle died last night. So for him to have his best game of the season after his uncle passes away, scoring a touchdown, having 4 catches, 100 yards, Great game by Demario Douglas. Good for him. Hunter Henry, 4 catches, 51 yards, including the game-sealing catch on that 3rd down. Josh McDaniels with a perfect play call, a pick play out of the backfield. Beautiful stuff. Or was it out of the backfield or out of the slot? But either way, great job. Seattle just scored a touchdown. They go up 7-0. There's a flag in the end zone. Travion Henderson, I thought, had a solid game as the lead back. He was solid enough. Diggs had a touchdown with Cardi B in attendance, hanging out with Robert Kraft. I thought Henderson, catching the ball and running the ball. Jennings scored his first NFL touchdown. Good for him. We did miss Kayshon Boutte later in the game. Kayshon Boutte went out with a hamstring injury. Our offense didn't score a point after that happened. So that was pretty significant in the game as well. So we need to be able to overcome that. Kyle Williams didn't really look great. Honestly, if we went out and got another veteran receiver for some depth, I wouldn't really mind that all that much. Christian Gonzalez, I did think had a good game on, the 2 touchdowns that London scored were both against Marcus Jones. So Marcus Jones probably had his worst game of the season after winning the AFC Defensive Player of the Month. So the 2 touchdowns were on Davis. 1 was on Davis and 2 were on Marcus Jones. Gonzalez basically only really gave up that catch down the field, but otherwise, he made a 4th down stop, which was pretty big. So I thought he had a good game. I thought Robert Spillane had another strong game. Jalen Hawkins had another strong game. Landry and Chason had good games off the edges. I didn't really notice Christian Barmore all that much in this game. I'd say that Christian Ellis also got hurt in this game. For the Falcons, Jalen Walker had a really strong game with 2 sacks. London had a really good game, 2 sacks and 2 tackles for loss. Lakel London, one of their, I guess he's a rookie, I'm not even sure. Brandon Dorless also had 2 sacks. So they had some interior pressure there from their D tackles. Jesse Bates had the interception. They did a good job. Atlanta did a good job at limiting the explosives from Drake. They are actually the #1 defense at limiting explosives. So they did do a good job at that. I mean, there was only a couple that the Patriots were able to hit. I think one of them was to Demario Douglas. Maybe both of them were to Demario Douglas. But yeah, Drake didn't have too much on the ground, only 20 yards in this game. And we did hold Bijan in check on the ground, only 46 yards. So we extend our streak of not allowing a 50-yard rusher. Bijan had 46 yards. That's really impressive. So yeah, that's basically my recap. I thought the Patriots should have won by more, but at least they still won the game, made some mistakes, and still overcame it. I think that's a good sign in terms of a team that's a really good team. Oftentimes when you're a bad team, you can't overcome your own mistakes and win. The Patriots, a sign of a good team is making mistakes against another competent team. The Falcons are competent. They just beat the Bills. The Bills beat the Chiefs. The Falcons are competent. They're not terrible, right? And they've got a lot of talent on that offense. Bijan and Drake London are awesome. So, yeah, give the Falcons credit for hanging around and fighting, but that's a sign of a good team to be able to win a game where you probably were trying to give that game away. So, 24-23. That is my recap for Sunday, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, Gronk spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Appreciate all the likes. Appreciate all the love. Appreciate all the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And enjoy Sunday Night Football. Enjoy Monday Night Football. I will be breaking down the trade deadline when it comes. I'll also be leaving my predictions tomorrow on the channel. Look out for that. It's Mitch. Thanks for watching. Peace. My mouse.